Alright, buckle up, because this one's messy as hell and I'm still half in disbelief about how it all went down. So I'm gonna start by saying I was not your average rebellious teen. I come from what people call a perfect family on the surface. Dad was this super strict, borderline controlling cop. Mom was the quiet type who barely spoke up, and I had an older brother who was basically the golden child. You know, the kind of family where everyone pretends everything's spotless, but underneath, it's a toxic pressure cooker. My dad was emotionally abusive, yelling at me over absolutely nothing, constantly accusing me of throwing away my life, while I was just trying to survive high school. Now here's the kicker. My older brother, who everyone thought was Mr. Perfect Straight, a student, varsity athlete, was a full-on drug dealer behind the scenes, dealing everything from weed to harder stuff like coke and pills. Yep, a last person anyone would suspect. Mom knew but just turned a blind eye, probably because she didn't want to unleash Dad's wrath even more. I found out about this in the absolute worst way, catching him red-handed when he tried to force me to smuggle stuff for him to avoid heat from his dealers. I said no, of course, and that's when the real fun started. Suddenly, my brother started thrashing me emotionally, threatening me, and even damaging my stuff. Dad, of course, sided with him. I was completely isolated, broke, and felt like I had no way out. Then comes the most rebellious thing. I did as a teen. I decided to expose the entire charade. But I couldn't just tell my parents or the cops. No way, that would have backfired on me hard. I teamed up with one of my brother's low-level dealers, a kid who'd been double-crossed and was ready to blow the lid off the operation. We got evidence, texts, pictures, secret stash locations. I was risking jail time, my safety, everything. The week before my 18th birthday, I sent an anonymous tip to the police with everything I had. What happened next was insane. My brother got arrested in a massive raid, the whole house turned upside down, and my dad was forced into being a good cop mode, suddenly showing up to court hearings and trying to act like a proud parent. Mom? She disappeared for weeks. Here's the dark part: my family turned against me hard. My dad disowned me, calling me a snitch, and worse. My friends at school caught wind, and it got around pretty fast. But honestly, I didn't care anymore. Fast forward a year, I'm living on my own, working 2 crappy jobs, trying to rebuild. The kicker is, my brother got out on some technicality and tried to come crawling back, begging for money and apologizing. But this time, I was the one holding all the cards. I started working with the same low-level dealer who initially helped me, and together we opened a small, legit business that started booming. My brother? He was broke, addicted, and no one gave a damn. One day he showed up at my place,